Morning, morning, morning. Think for yourself. Good morning, Anna. Sis, not morning, Anna. I see the snow has finally started to fall in Canada, Anna. So I saw a friend of mine post you all didn't have a white Christmas, but you had a white start to the new year. Morning, Joy. Morning, Diane. Blessings to you as well. Beverly, Gwindy. Morning, Claire Carrington. Morning to you. Jennifer Nathan. Morning. Okay. Gail Jack. Morning. Oh, where is this person from? Let me see. I can't remember. I think he's on Ontario or Toronto. I can't remember. Someone says it's brown on her side. Okay, well, maybe it will come soon. Arlene Lewis, morning to you. Yes, 2024 is here indeed. Morning, Carol. And there, Elizabeth Allen, morning to you all. Lisa Atwater, Ate Allen, morning. Elizabeth Allen, and Davy Manuel, morning, guys. Rude, morning. Good morning, Rookman. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Horacia Keegan, Eden Thomas, morning. Let's see, where is this thing? KW John Leaf, is it? Good morning. Gemma Alexander, morning. It's time here, right, 6:40, and what is the second day of 2024? Almost said 2023. Yeah, 2024. How time flies, how we reach here so quick. Anyway, as I saw someone put a post on Facebook yesterday, while we celebrate ringing in a new year, on the more somber side is the fact that this person said it's 1 year closer to the grave. So, and so true that is. So let me extend condolences, of course, to the family of the late Pastor Panday, and by extension, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because he was the country's fifth prime minister and also to the well, loyal supporters of the United National Congress, the party which he would have formed. Yeah, so Mr. Panday, of course, news of Mr. Panday's passing coming from his daughter, Makila, um, yesterday evening. So the piece of, yeah, so we lost Tochai Charles on the 31st and Mr. Panday on the first, and that's what, four politicians in the space of just over 1 month, of course, Marlene McDonald and Terry Rondon. So, yeah, the unfortunate side of the turn of the tide, if we want to call it that, the passage of time, this is a reality that unfortunately we have to deal with, where folks that we've known for years and we grew up knowing will pass on. So, and Mr. Panday certainly was, I don't want to say a colorful character, an interesting individual. Um, Not one to mince words and put water in his mouth when it came to saying how he felt about certain situations and about people, certain people. So, which is why, as I look at all of these accolades and all of these condolences and so on, expressions of condolences coming out across the social media landscape, you can't help but think, Trinidad and Tobago to an extent is really hypocritical. Um, See, you would say, well, okay, when a person passes on, ideally you should say good things about them and so on. But if we learned anything from Basdio Panday, that's not necessarily so. Because when Mr. Robinson died, you may recall Mr. Panday was anything but gracious in his utterances, in his sentiments towards Mr. Robinson. In fact, I recall when he was interviewed for a comment on Mr. Robinson's passing, if memory serves me correctly, Mr. Panday would have said, when the reporter asked him about the good things that Mr. Robinson would have done, Mr. Panday would have responded with, um, he couldn't recall the good things that Mr. Robinson would have done, and he said, perhaps I missed them, in his, his, only the way that only Basdio Panday could say, perhaps I missed them. So, yeah, he wasn't one to shower praises on Mr. Robinson. As we know, when Mr. Robinson died, Mr. Panday still had, certain, well, how should I put it, boy? The relationship post 2001 was less than stellar. And even before that, when Mr. Panday fell out with Mr. Robinson during the NAR years and so on, yeah, he would have taken responsibility, and I would have read during my research an article where he took responsibility for Mr. Robinson becoming prime minister and president. Well, he was instrumental in the president's side, but he was not one to pretend that he was going to let bygones be bygones. Even in Mr. Robinson's passing, he still had some ill feeling, not the ill will, ill feeling towards Mr. Robinson, and he made that perfectly clear. So when I see this morning, the leader of the opposition is getting some licks for her condolences to Mr. Panday. There are many who feel that it was just dry, it was short, it was just without feeling. But we know Mrs. Pasabi Sessa doesn't post for herself on social media. She has people to do that for her. And I guess, I don't know if it is she would have dictated to them what to write, or if they just decided to put out something for her. But yeah. But in true Kamla Pasabi Sessa style. So she put, I am saddened that Mr. Panday has passed away. I will always love him and be grateful that he was a significant influence in my life. He was a great leader and spent most years of his life helping the oppressed and the poor. Mr. Panday will always be remembered with love and adoration by all of us whose lives he touched. I express my condolences to all of his loved ones. May his soul rest in peace, and he will be missed, but will always be remembered and loved. End of text. But in true Kamla Prasad Visasa style, she could not miss the opportunity to try and take some of the shine for herself. So under that post, there's a picture of an old newspaper article, and it looks like something they pull out of an archive because it has some writing on it. It says, "Government of TNT Parliament, the 10th of the 11th month, 1995, page 1 Express." Handwritten. And the title of that article is "First Woman AG Also Makes History, PM Panday." It's not about you. It's about Mr. Panday. But even in death, you couldn't allow the man, a moment. You had to try and insert yourself to put up this "First Woman AG Also Makes." What does that have to do with Mr. Panday's passing? Yes, he was responsible for you becoming the first female AG in Trinidad and Tobago, but it's not about you. That wasn't the only thing. So that was the highlight of his stint as Prime Minister, making you first female AG. I mean, come on, really? But such is the individual that is Mrs. Prasad Biswas. I mean, even if she didn't post this, I would like to think that she vets these things before they put it out, because at the end of the day, it comes under seemingly her hand, and the impression that some of her supporters, well, a lot of them would get is that Mrs. Prasad Biswas wrote this. And perhaps she did, and maybe she just typed it out on WhatsApp and sent it to her and said, put out that. But I just think it was in poor taste to have to add this article, "First Woman AG Also Makes History, PM Panday." Really? Okay. Right. She is saddened that he has passed away. What was your relationship with him in the last years of his life? Did you make any overtures to reach out to him to mend fences or so on? Well, we know how he felt about the UNC under Mrs. Prasad Biswas's leadership. He was very critical of it, and he didn't see, well, you just say he didn't endorse her as leader, especially in the way that she would have deposed him. And we all recall that very bitter fight for the leadership of the UNC between the both of them. And Mrs. Prasad Biswas would have said some things, Mr. Panday would have said some things, but such was the nature of Mr. Panday, right? And what you saw was what you got. In that aspect, in that regard, he was an honest man. Yeah, he didn't, as I said, he didn't mince words. I didn't put water in his mouth to say how he felt about a situation or certain people. It's a shame others can't do the same. But anyway. Yes. Morning, Desmond. Morning, Mikel, Patricia. Morning, Roxanne, Natalie F. Morning to you guys. Yeah, so it might have been better if she had just said rest in peace. But as I mentioned, she's getting some several quarters for that what some people feel was, just blah. That's a par for the course. I'm going to say something. Notably, other persons are yet to extend condolences, such as Rudal Munilal. I checked his Facebook page. There is nothing. Suraj Rambachan. I checked his Facebook page. There is nothing either. Now, I don't really, I can't blame Suraj, because if we recall, Mr. Panday would have described Suraj Rambachan as a fraud of the highest order. And perhaps that is something that Mr. Rambachan has not forgotten or forgiven. And therefore, they say if you have nothing good to say nothing. And perhaps in Mr. Rambachan's case, that might be best. Right? Rather than engage in hypocrisy, you should just probably hush. In the case of Rudal Munilal, though, I don't understand why. But anyway, maybe in time. So let me see. So before I get to the other point, I just want to touch on the commiserations of some other people. Interestingly, Philip Alexander. So I'm seeing that he finally I was looking for his post in particular. I'll just read a little bit of it. I'm now seeing it. He misquoted Machiavelli when he said politics has a morality of its own. I'll misquote them both by saying politics has a reality of its own. And over the coming days and weeks, others will milk his passing for all the benefits any association they could muster could give. I won't. Those who know me know that I loathe to eulogize politicians and can be very frank. I contemplated staying silent but did not want my silence misread. Perhaps you should have stayed silent. The experiences I have had with him have all been cordial and even respectful. Few know how to own a room like he did, and I dare say it was his superpower. And whether it was sitting for a two-person interview like he did with me, and which I promised to re-release only because it shows how open he was, prepared to be on the sensitive issues or commanding parliament. He had a long innings and played the hand, blah, blah, blah. History counts for nothing in a land where public office is as corrupt and as evil as it is here. And he was more forthcoming on that for the entirety of his career than any other before or since. I dare say he certainly was not the worst of them. Interesting. The greatest debt owed to him would be by the East Indian community, consigned to be a recalcitrant minority by others, who he emancipated by his struggle and took them from permanent opposition and second-class citizens to highest office in the land. Shockingly so that even the Guardian newspaper, whose headline the next day should have been congratulatory, was contemptible and racist. Okay. Baz was many things as well as we all are, but in the end, if you are remembered fondly through all those vicissitudes and bad weather, then one can say, well done. Go on to your just reward, Silver Fox. For better or worse, you did more than most, and that is my tea, if I were to say anything at all. I really couldn't care much for anything that comes out of the mouth of Philip Edward Alexander. And I only read that as a point of comparison, that he was most gracious in his condolences to Mr. Well, in his, anyway. This is the same man who just a week or so ago, let me see if I find it here. See if I find it. So come on 1 second. Let me see if I find it here. Right, I'm not seeing it, but when Marlene MacDonald died a couple of weeks ago, this is the same man who put out a post. I want to find it. I don't want to misquote him. I'm not seeing it here. Just for me, and I just missed it. This is the same man who, when was that? I'm sure he didn't remove it because he's not so inclined. Yeah, when Marlene MacDonald died the other day, and he put out a post, couldn't help himself, and relegated her to hell. Basically said, if you already recall, as I wanted to quote him here. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me see if I find it here. I really would like to find it. I know I would have read it for you all. Let me see this one. Get it here. This one. I'm not seeing it, but you all may recall earlier said, basically told her to go to, well, not go to hell, but something to the effect that, she would be going to hell just like Franklin Kahn, Johnny O'Halloran, and, we just listed out PNM politicians and so on. But I suppose Mr. Panday would, in his view, based on what I just read there, would be going somewhere else, somewhere a little more palatable, right? But it's only PNM politicians he expects to go to hell and burn in hell for what they did. And the issue, of course, that he had with Marlene MacDonald, we know the court matter that she had pending up until the point of her death, that whole Calabar Foundation, where there was some matter involving some $300 and something thousand TT dollars, you may recall. And so for that, he felt that she like so many others from the PNM, should rot in hell. But I recall Mr. Panday, I don't want to focus too much on, but just to mention, for comparison, Mr. Panday would have been the Prime Minister when what Bob Linquist described as the greatest act of fraud ever perpetrated on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago by its government. Bob Linquist said that. The forensic accountant, who in the space of just 2 months would have made such an assertion. Um, we recall when Julian John, in her testimony before the Commission of Inquiry into the airport, said that when she went to Mr. Panday and she told him about what transpired in the one meeting that she attended in this um, ministerial subcommittee for the airport, that the greed was palpable. You could feel the greed. And she told him, that what was taking place, and Mr. Panday indicated to her, I am aware. This is Julian John's words. Mr. Panday said to her, I am aware. It is a milch cow, a feeding frenzy, right? Where hundreds of millions of dollars were stolen from the coffers of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Panday was Prime Minister, and he indicated, I am aware. And he subsequently disbanded this interministerial committee, for which, as I said, hundreds of millions of dollars. But Mr. Alexander doesn't think for that. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he should relegate Mr. Panday to hell, right? But I'm saying for the purpose of comparison, that for 300, Marlene McDonald was accused of being involved in some bubble that involves $375,000. And I'm not trying to minimize, because, as I said, she was never convicted of anything. In fact, the case never came to trial. So that is where that was at. But even in the absence of a conviction, Mr. Alexander was more than willing to confine Miss McDonald to hell, right? To burn for all eternity, those who subscribe to such. But to Mr. Panday, presided over as Prime Minister, who would have fired the man who sought to bring some sort of light to that whole situation, Ramesh Maharaj, who then hired Kamla Prasad Bisesa, appointed Kamla Prasad Bisesa as the Attorney General. Same Mr. Panday, who had this report from Bob Linquist, which showed unprecedented corruption in that project. According to Mr. Maharaj, sat down on that report for months and did absolutely nothing about it. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa did absolutely nothing about it either, and Mr. Panday didn't seem inclined to have her do anything about it. In fact, questions would be asked, why did he appoint her in the first place? But anyway, the point I'm making is that he was willing to brush aside that because it would tarnish his government. But for that, according to Philip Alexander, we must praise Panday. And Marlene McDonald, who did nothing remotely close to that, she must burn in hell. Franklin Cann must burn in hell. And this is the man who wanted to be Prime Minister. You see, he leave politics, but yeah. This is the level, you see, so they're so disgusting. So disgusting. Anyway, a word to the wise is sufficient, right? Just understand the thinking and where these folks, where their heads are at. Hypocrisy at its best. Hypocrisy at its best. Yeah, but no, I can't say nothing bad about Mr. Walker. Only praise Basdeo Panday. Yes, praise him, right? Okay. I mean, there are things you could probably praise him for, but I mean, let's level the playing field. Call a spade, right? Anyway, moving right along. All I know, I had to talk about motor mouth, unfortunately. Let me get this here. I mean, if I wasn't convinced before that this man needs a psychiatrist, he needs a therapist, I am convinced now. Let me see if I get this here. Where is it? It seems that, as I told you all on Sunday, this man could only talk when Dr. Rowley speaks. Let me get this here. So Gary Griffith finally found the time to put out his condolences, his condolence message, right? But if you wanted any further evidence that Dr. Rowley living rent free in this man's head, this is all that you need as proof. Here what this man will put. Even this is a man who worked in the Prime Minister's residence under Mr. Panday, right? What was the role that he was playing? It was a significant role in the Prime Minister's household. He was there, I think, when that shooting took place with Caesar and Penko and the lady, the love triangle, right? You would think he could just say, offer his condolences and so on, say, whatever, give your accolades and whatnot. Listen to this. Double loss for Trinidad and Tobago, honoring the legacies of Hochoy Charles and Basdio Panday. So I guess he didn't have time on the 31st to say anything about Mr. Hochoy Charles. And perhaps if Mr. Panday had not passed on yesterday, he may have said nothing about Hochoy Charles because, well, he was either too busy or, as I say, he only waits until he needs Dr. Rowley to speak. Even in death. So he has 2 bullet points. Bullet point number 1, double loss for Trinidad and Tobago, honoring the legacies of Hochoy Charles and Basdio Panday. Bullet point number 2, even in death, Keith Rowley cannot show respect for his political opponents. A bullet point. In the span of just 2 days, Trinidad and Tobago has bid farewell to 2 towering figures whose contributions have left an indelible mark on our 12-island nation. Yesterday, the nation mourned the loss of Hochoy Charles, Tobago's first chief secretary, a true son of Tobago who stood as a trailblazer and a symbol of resilience. Now, we knew that Hochoy Charles passed very early on the 31st. He passed at 4:36 a.m. and news of that came early. So for the whole day on the 31st, Mr. Griffith couldn't put out anything. Whole day yesterday, he couldn't put out anything. It was only in the evening when news came that Mr. Panday had died, then he decided to put out something, but he couldn't write anything on just Mr. Panday alone, right? And today in news, right? Panday was a champion of social justice who played a pivotal role in shaping the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. And as the country's first Indo-Trinidadian prime minister, he broke barriers and worked tirelessly to foster unity among the diverse communities that make up the nation. This is why I must share my profound disappointment in our present Prime Minister's utter disrespect and shameless behavior in referring to Mr. Panday in a press statement as an actor, lawyer, labor leader, politician, with no mention of Mr. Panday as a former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. So he vexed because Dr. Rowley didn't mention Mr. Panday was a former Prime Minister. I would think that the term politician would have encompassed because if it is that you want him to mention that Mr. Panday was a former Prime Minister, well, then he should have also mentioned that he was former opposition leader too. They want him to itemize everything, every role that Mr. Panday played, right? So he vexed because Dr. Rowley didn't mention former Prime Minister. And for that, he is describing that as utter disrespect and shameless behavior on the part of Dr. Rowley. Thankfully, unlike Keith Rowley, most of the country understands that regardless of political affiliation, both Charles and Panday left an indelible mark on the rich tapestry of Trinidad and Tobago's history, and that their commitment to public service, dedication to their communities, and their pursuit of a better future for all citizens left an enduring impact. So as the country grieves, may their souls rest in peace, and may their contributions continue to guide and inspire the nation they so loved. They love so dearly. Gary Griffith, NTA political leader. Narcissist. A man who needs a therapist. He is obsessed with Dr. Rowley. Because Mrs. Pasad-Bisessa made no mention of any of those roles. I read for you all what she put out. She didn't mention that Mr. Panday was a former prime minister. She didn't mention he was a labor leader. She didn't mention he was an actor. She didn't mention any of those things. But where is the condemnation? That wasn't disrespectful, right, Gary? She made no mention of Mr. Panday's tenure as a prime minister. No mention of him being founder of the UNC. Nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. She made it all about herself, how she loved him, and he played an instrumental role in her life and so on. But no mention of any of the roles that Mr. Panday would have played. But you don't find that utterly, to quote you, disrespectful and shameless. Right? She is the opposition leader. As you all call her, the prime minister in waiting. The alternative to Keith Rowley. Made no mention of any of those things. And you find that disrespectful. That is not disrespectful on her part. Up to now, Rudal Munilal, who would have served, I think, as a senator while Mr. Panday was prime minister, he put out nothing. Nothing. But you don't find that disrespectful. You don't find that shameless. Of course not. And, Gary, but you were just waiting for Dr. Rowley to put out something so that you could criticize it. If Ole don't find something wrong with it, there's something wrong with Ole. Right? Well, I mean, come on. You come to put out that post, you had the whole essence of what you wanted to say about Mr. Panday was lost in you having to use this opportunity to attack. Every opportunity this man gets to attack Dr. Rowley, he does it. I mean, how much lower could you go? How much? That is, to me, lower than the white line on the road. Lower than the white line on the road. Come on. Even Kamala Prasad-Bissessar didn't go that low. But it's like Dr. Rowley in your head 24/7. You're going to sleep as the last thing on your mind. You wake up in the morning as the first thing on your mind. Whole day, you know, let me see what Rowley's saying today. Let me go and check Rowley's Facebook page. Let me see if he say anything so I could comment. Come now, man. Really? Live your life. You're no longer the commissioner. Relax. And as long as Keith Rowley is prime minister and as long as the PNM is in office, you will never get back that position. Give it up. Let it go, Gary. Let it go. Come on. And then you want to say, you living in Dr. Rowley's head? I don't know if it is he trying to go Dr. Rowley to say something about him because he finds since the last time Dr. Rowley would have spoken about him, how much months ago, you know. It's like, come on, what? Boy, I tell you this, something really wrong with this man. That's not, I'm gonna play this. One moment, let me just. That level of obsession is unhealthy, to say the least. Right. Just give me 1 second. I just wanted to play this quickly again. Right.
Have a chit chat, sip some coffee, and ask.
Yes.
Summon people, have a chit chat, sip.
Who live, and who dead.
No, Keith, that is not how you lead. That is not how you serve. This is all that you do. Stay in your presidential palace, sit down in your massive chairs, summon people, have a chit chat, sip some coffee, and ask the commissioner what are the crime plans. That is not how it's going to change the situation. This is all you do. You have lost contact with the people. To be able to solve this problem, you have to get on the ground, meet the same people who put you in office, roll up your sleeves, be prepared to perspire, and find out what is the problem. All you do is sit in your presidential palace, summon people, and hope that they can come up with crime plans. This is why, after 8 years, the National Security Council cannot come up with one policy to reduce crime. That is not how a National Security Council meets, Keith. Sitting down in the diplomatic center in your presidential palace and summoning people. You have to be prepared to work and work hard and serve the people. Failure to do so, it is time for you to demit office.
Right. Wow. So of course he starts off that little rant there with propaganda. They continue to lie with this who live and who dead. I've told you all on numerous occasions the circumstances under which Dr. Rowley would have said what he said. But he used that reference to describe the position taken by the trade union movement in respect of the government's decision to, well, what was then a decision to make it mandatory for public servants to take the COVID vaccine. right? And the position of the union was let people decide who want to take it, and who don't want to take it to let their business, right? And Dr. Rowley said that the union was basically saying who live, and who dead. But you cut that and you put it at the beginning of your post to see that is what Dr. Rowley means with respect to crime. Who live, and who dead. If that isn't that, again, the height of dishonesty, I don't know what is. But we have come to expect these kind of things from these persons who are telling you they are the alternative to the PNM, put them in office. When they would lie about the simplest of things, and I keep telling you all about that, when they lie for the simplest of things, you cannot trust them with the bigger things. Right? You cannot trust them with the bigger things. So, again, a word to the wise is sufficient. But I just thought I would make mention of that, going through with Mr. Panday's passing, and you will see the hypocrisy in the days to come, all the crocodile tears and so on. But Pasagi Sasa has put out what she needs to put out. We will look to see what else they put out. I saw Annie Roberts, the dog liar. All he put out was I think warrior, and that's it. That's it. But Gary don't find that disrespectful. That Gary doesn't find that shameless. You just put out warrior and that's it. And you have others who have said nothing, no utterances from them whatsoever. The man who was instrumental in their political careers, they have said nothing. Right? They belong to his party, and they have nothing to say. And the only thing you could say was to use the opportunity to knock Dr. Rowley and to criticize Dr. Rowley. Pathetic. Anyway, so the year ended, and I think I didn't get the exact figure. Before I go there, let me get this. Right. Let me say good morning to all of the sufferers. The sufferers who have no money to buy food, who this morning have no money to send their children to school, because this wicked and oppressive PNM government have the price of everything sky high, and the cost of living is unprecedented under this wicked and evil Keith Rowley-led administration. You can't see a way under this administration. We can't afford to buy chicken, only chicken foot. We can't even afford to buy the basics. We say good morning to all of the sufferers who were able to find tens of millions of dollars collectively to put in the pocket of the so-called 1%. Because anyway, for fireworks, that money went in literally yesterday morning at the stroke of midnight. You just had to step outside your house and listen to millions of dollars go up in smoke all over the country from these sufferers who have no money. Let me get this here. So, right. So let me get this thing here.
When we visited the 515 house in Makoya around noon on Sunday, human traffic was just picking up. People took their time examining the different options displayed on the shelves. According to the company's executive assistant, Vishwani Ganesh, sales this year exceeded expectations.
So this year has been an overwhelming. I don't think we were expecting so much people to be here this year. Boxing Day the response from the public was phenomenal. They were just waiting Christmas. They just to flip the switch on Boxing Day, just to come to the warehouse and purchase fireworks. And it shows that really and truly people, they just can't wait to celebrate.
Annually, there are conversations in the public domain surrounding fireworks and the distress they create mainly to the elderly and animals. TV6 News asked about noiseless fireworks.
So I played the main part I wanted to be. You heard what she said, right? They weren't expecting such a turnout from the public. Every year, fireworks, they see people going there and purchasing their fireworks. She said people couldn't wait till the stroke of midnight and Christmas and Boxing Day to come and buy their fireworks. Demand was overwhelming, better than they had expected. But we suffering, we have no money, can't buy food, we can't send our children to school, things hard, can't pay property tax, we can't pay no increase in electricity rates. I can't afford to pay $81 a month for property tax or $64 a month for property tax. And they ask me to pay $500 and something for the year, or $972 for the year in property tax. But you know what I could spend? Can't pay that over 12 months. But I could find in one shot, in one day, $1,500, $2,500, $3,000, $5,000 to go down to Fire One Fireworks and buy a set of fireworks to pop off in about 5 to 10 minutes. All that money going off in smoke. What that money could have done? Send your children to school? Nah, I don't have money to buy a laptop. I can't afford a laptop for my child. Laptop selling in places like Price Mart for $2,700 and all kind of thing, $3,000. Like, I can't afford that. No, but I could find $5,000. I could find $3,000 to go down to Fire One Fireworks and pop up. Get some, yeah. Bring in the new year, man, with some serious fireworks. But we complaining, this government wicked. Money, this and that. We suffering. People will spend money on what is important to them. Always remember that. When they need to find the money, they will find it. I'm not telling anybody how to spend your money. That is your right. You work hard for it. However you choose to spend it, it's up to you. Nobody can dictate your peace. What I have an issue with is when you're complaining that the little that you're earning, you can't afford to buy the basics. That when you go to the grocery, you have to be working with a calculator to calculate to make sure when you stand up by the cashier, you're sweating beads because you want to make sure that you have enough money to pay for your groceries. But at the same time, same people who telling you, how many of you all took your back pay and went and buy fireworks? And then come to always talking about Rowley only for the PNM and Rowley want to make the rich richer. I am absolutely certain Keith Rowley didn't go to Fire One Fireworks. He didn't go to the warehouse. He didn't go to any of the little tents that they have set up all over the country and pull out his wallet and buy any fireworks to set up. I'm pretty certain Keith Rowley didn't do that. And I'm almost certain that most of the government ministers, if not all of them, didn't do that either. So when you want to accuse the government of only wanting to make the rich richer and putting money in the 1% pocket, as all they like to say, you all need to reevaluate that and see really who making the rich richer. Yeah, because I didn't see any videos, any member of government, in particular the Prime Minister, who they like to malign and who, as you all say, only cares about making the rich richer. I didn't see no videos or pictures with him putting any money in the pocket of Mr. Abraham and others in Fire One Fireworks. So to the millions of dollars that went to that one entity over the last 2 weeks or so, and more than that, because from Diwali come forward, and maybe even go back to independence come forward, millions of dollars you'll put into the pocket of that one entity. And Keith Rowley had nothing to do with that because he didn't tell all you, take all your money and go and do that. Right? So the next time you want to talk about making the rich richer, check all yourself. Check where you're spending your money. Right. So, much to the disappointment and chagrin of many in that other party, we did not cross 600 murders for 2023, and we recorded a slim decline, but a decline nonetheless of 29 less murders in 2023 than was recorded in 2022. So as the commissioner said, it's a decline, but it's still disappointing. It's not satisfactory. She would have liked to have seen, like she said, it's a 5% decline. We would have liked to have seen a much larger decline, but it's a decline nonetheless. I think so far for the year, unfortunately, we recorded 2 murders yesterday. So 2024, right now we're on 2, unfortunately, right? But the commissioner was, and the commissioner too came in for some links from some people. One of our old friends, we haven't mentioned much within the recent past, Suzette Lauer, who at one time we used to refer to as the national nuisance. All the way over in the Netherlands, but she always seems to have a comment on everything that's going on in Trinidad, right? She's another one who fancies herself to have the answers to everything. Newspaper article, Guardian, Commissioner of Police, murders declining by 5% is significant but not satisfactory. Here's Suzette Lauer. Erla, don't be ridiculous, eh? Some of us in the public space have more than half of an O level if you didn't know. The Guardian media reported for 2023, guns continue to be the weapon of choice for criminals, with approximately 478 out of 555 murders as of December 21st being committed using guns. For the same period in 2022, 509 murders out of 588 murders at that time were committed using guns. Police said there was an approximately 11% detection rate for murders involving guns, with a 13% figure for murders in general. 11% detection rate for murders involving guns, 13% for murders in general. The 5% you speak of is not because of police efficacy, but because the criminals didn't have the opportunity or motive. If you consider your performance excellent, that explains why the TTPS is dysfunctional, your standards and the IQ of those who believe you have one thing in common. Who believe you have one thing in common, both low. As Suzette Lower. All you over in the Netherlands. What contribution is she making to the development of Trinidad and Tobago? None. You're even paying 5 cents in tax here, but you have everything to say about anything that happens here, right? And again, I wonder if these people, and you know, she fancies herself to be bright because she had a degree in this and postgraduate degree in that, and she gets some big work in the Netherlands for some international, as she says, Fortune 500 company and so on. So she figures she know everything. And nobody bright like her. But you're seeking now to attack even the small wins, the small gains of the TTPS, to say that the reduction in murders had nothing to do with anything that the police did. It had nothing to do with crime fighting. It had nothing to do with the efforts of the police. It's simply because the criminals didn't have motive or opportunity. Really? Is that right? Well, then if that is the same, then you're supposed to tell Gary that. Because if you say they didn't have motive or opportunity, so they're like, we have nobody to kill today, nah? Well, there's nobody there, why we could kill today? Nobody? All right. Well, let me see if we could try and frustrate somebody to get away back so we could go and kill them now. That's basically what she said. So the criminals, the killers woke up and they just didn't have anybody to kill over a few days for any reason to kill anybody. They didn't say, well, let me go and rob somebody and kill them now. Well, if you're in for a home invasion, not today, you're not in the mood? All right. Next week? Yeah. If we listen to Suzette Lower, that's basically what she said. They had neither opportunity nor motive. Didn't have opportunity? Well, then when Gary Griffith was Commissioner of Police and we had COVID, we had the state of emergency, we had curfew and so on, they didn't have opportunity. So therefore, that would account for why the murder rate was what it was under him, right? But why should I tell him that? Why don't tell Gary that? Because he doesn't get vexed when anybody tell him that. And the reason why the murder rate was what it was under him is because they had COVID, they had thing, and he doesn't get vexed about them thing. She should tell him that. That's basically what she's saying here. They didn't have opportunity. The murderers didn't have opportunity or motive to kill. So that is the only reason why we recorded 29 less murders. Because they kill out so much of the people that they're inclined to kill. They're running out of people to kill now. They're running out of gang members to kill. Right? They're killing out each other. So, yeah, the numbers come down now. So, yeah, that's Suzette Lower's logic. These are the people who contribute to demoralizing the police. That no matter what efforts they put out, it's like, even if you achieve something through whatever means, whatever strategies you put in place, there will always be people on the sidelines who waiting to put you down, to fight down the TTPS, to say, nah, all you ain't doing nothing good. No, it's not because of anything all you do. No, it wasn't because of that. It's because of the criminals just wasn't feeling to kill. Yeah, or maybe they were waiting for guns and bullets to come into the country. Yeah, they didn't have opportunity. That's right. Yeah. Idiots. Basically, that's what it is. Idiots. What are we going to do?
How long does it take to lose?
So, as I said, we had 29 less murders. I want to read, so Gary Griffith didn't comment on that yet, but rest assured, probably by today or tomorrow, he probably right now sit down trying to write out something to lash Ulla Christopher and by extension the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security to say that they're rejoicing over 29 less murders. And we shouldn't rejoice in that. No, any reduction, don't rejoice. But if it is we are across the 600 figure and beaten last year's record, oh, you would have heard them like a broken record. Wouldn't hear the end of it. Some of them will probably sit down waiting since June. They wrote up their post to put out on the 1st or the 2nd of January. Disappointed. All the prayers didn't work. But it came close. So, back in October, Gary Griffith put out an article from the Jamaica Gleaner, which read, murders in Jamaica down 12% compared to last year, Commissioner of Police. And Gary was praising the Jamaicans for that. And he was basically saying that this came about not because of, and it showed that COVID didn't have anything to do with the whole reduction in murders and so on. That's what he was saying, right? But he put up this to praise the Jamaicans. Murders in Jamaica down 12% compared to last year, Commissioner of Police. To say, well, look, what happened in Trinidad? Why we can't do something similar? And it speaks to the incompetence of the Commissioner of Police and the incompetence of the Prime Minister and the incompetence of the Minister of National Security. Only I, Gary the Great, could achieve statistics like this. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson says there's a 12% reduction in murders for the quarter ending September 30th, 2023, when compared with the corresponding quarter in 2022. Murders are down 12%, which translates to 141 less persons killed. Shooting incidents are down 9%, rape down 18%, and robberies are right. So I guess the murderers, the criminals in Jamaica didn't have opportunity or motive either to kill, right, Suzette? So based on your logic, the only reason why murders are down in Jamaica is because the criminals didn't have opportunity or motive. Let me see if I get this here. The same, and then we have Ralph Maraj, who just a couple of weeks ago wrote a whole article in which he talked about Dr. Rowley should contact Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, to get some ideas and strategies on how to tackle crime, and in particular murder, because apparently the Jamaican Prime Minister knows what to do. He has the solution and the formula to deal with murders, right? A whole article condemning Dr. Rowley. So Dr. Rowley should call Andrew Holness for advice and counsel and guidance on how to deal with the crime situation in Trinidad. He's supposed to call Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, to get advice and counsel on how to treat with the economy and Forex. He needs to call Irfan Ali of Guyana to get counsel and guidance on how to diversify the economy. So everybody, all the other prime ministers throughout the Caribbean, Dr. Rowley needs to contact all of them on advice on how to be a prime minister. Let me read this latest article. This is from yesterday. The latest update published by the police, and this is Jamaica. This is according to the Jamaica Gleaner, right? According to the 2023 serious crime statistics, murders declined by 7.8% year on year. So Trinidad and Tobago, we recorded 5%. In Jamaica, 7.8%. The latest update published by the police shows that 118 fewer homicides were committed in 2023 than in 2022. The police have revised to 1,511 the number of people who were murdered at the end of 2022. We were previously told that initially the JCF reported that 1,498 persons were murdered. So that was the initial report. So apparently, perhaps some people who would have been shot in 2022 would have died subsequently in 2023, and of course it would have been classified as murder, right? Checks by the Gleaner outlined that a cause for death can be upgraded to murder after relevant investigations are carried out. So there were some persons whose bodies may have been found, they had to do autopsies and so on, and then completion of the investigation, they say, well, right, yeah, this person was murdered. So for 2023, right, the unofficial figure, murders in Jamaica is 1,393 murders. 1,393 murders, as opposed to 1,511 in the year before. But according to Ralph Maraj, Dr. Rowley needs to call Andrew Holness for advice on how to deal with the crime problem in Trinidad and Tobago. How to get the murder rate down. Yeah, because Jamaica is doing such a fantastic job. I'm sure that they will revise that figure eventually, so it will cross the 1,400 mark. And in fact, there was an article published back in January, February, thereabouts, where I think a politician in Jamaica, opposition politician, was saying that Jamaica was on course to record over 1,400 murders in 2023. This was since January. They were predicting that they would have over 1,400 murders. Unofficial figures, just 7 less, but when they finished, because, Same thing has happened. We went from 1498 to 1511. We're going to go from more than likely 1393 to across the 1400. So they were able to predict that since January. So for the whole year, the government, the police couldn't really do anything to avoid fulfillment of that prophecy by another politician in Jamaica that they would record 1,400 murders. But in Trinidad here, Dr. Rowley and them supposed to have a magic wand and they could just make crime go away. Right? In his article, Ralph Mirage he always liked to talk about New York and New York. Talk about New York City, have a population of 8 million and they only recorded 300 and something murders for the year, as opposed to Trinidad and Tobago with a population of 1.4 million and we recorded over 500 murders. And again, I did some research on that. And while he's correct with the figures, you see, the backstory is also very important. Because they made the point that, yes, you have a population of about that and 300 and something murders, 400 and something murders for the year. The fact of the matter is that when you look at the number of shootings taking place in New York, about 1,500 plus shootings. But out of that 1,500 plus shootings, you would have seen about 300 and something people died. And the critical thing to take note of there is the weapon of choice in these shootings, which makes the difference. Because most of these shootings that take place is your ordinary handgun, your 9mm, your Glock, and so on. So the chances, the possibility of the victim surviving is greater than what obtains in Trinidad when you look at the type of weapons that these guys using to commit these murders. There's not no handgun, no 6, no 38, and you know the 6 rounds. I think you had to pull back, and it's just right and fire. Those the kind of guns that these fellas they're using that they're using AR-15s and semi-automatic and automatic rifles, the like of which you also in the videos on the highway the other day. You see the kind of guns that these fellas using when the police have the big seizures. We see the type of weapons. It's not no little pea shooter. So more than likely, and then I can't remember the name that the caller goes by, but on Sunday when he made mention of the 2 types of bullets that are mainly being found, shell casings of which that are being found at these crime scenes, is bullets that Gary Griffith at a press conference when he was Commissioner of Police, in an effort and in an attempt to convince the opposition UNC to support the bail amendment bill, to get them to agree that if a person is caught with a gun, or if a person is apprehended for a gun offense or gun-related offense, that you can hold them in the first instance for 120 days without bail. When he was pleading to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and the rest of them on the opposition bench to support the legislation to give the police the help that they need so that we could keep these fellas behind bars for at least 120 days. He came with 3 types of bullets, 2 of which he said 2013, when they were in office, this was a problem. Right? And he held up the bullets. He said, this was a problem when they were in office. When Kamla was prime minister, they were the government. It was a problem, so much so that they saw the need to restrict bail for at least 120 days. But today is a different story. Same bullets being used, and they don't think that there's a problem today. They don't think there's a need today. When you have more guns in the country of that nature, that 1 bullet is all it takes, and the kind of damage that it does to the individual, to the victim, the chances of survival is slim to none. Even if you're able to make it to the hospital, more than likely you're going to end up dying on the operating table while they're attending to you. And that's the difference. So when they want to come and talk about in New York and 300 and something murders for the year, and look at the size of the population and all of these different things, that's because the people in New York, they have a decent standard of living, and the reason for crime in Trinidad is poverty and so on. Nonsense. Because how these guys getting these guns? Guns are free? When it is that they were talking about, the whole discussion came up the other day with Prasad Bisasa talking about making it easier for law-abiding citizens to access firearms and to get their firearm user's license. And we were hearing the cost of guns. A simple handgun, the 9mm and the Glock going for kind of $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 for 1 gun. So these high-powered rifles and so, how that being paid for? Somebody in the US just or wherever it is just feeling to send all of these guns to Trinidad and Tobago. Why? Because they just feeling to do it. So there's no monetary gain to be had from that. Nonsense. How are these things being paid for? How is it being paid for? Right? So these guys who have these weapons, where it coming from? Who giving it to them? They have been. So if you're telling me there is poverty is the reason why these guys committing the crimes, so they're poor, they don't have money to buy food, they don't have money to support their families because some of them they have 2-3 girls all over the place with they have baby mamas all over the place. So if it is they're poor and that is why they're engaging in crime, where they getting money from to get these guns? How are they getting it? Such that when the police apprehend them and with the guns and they take it away and it's confiscated, they could go back tomorrow morning when they get bail and get another one. And they're poor and they're suffering, but they could afford these high-powered guns, which certainly won't cost more than $15,000. So that is the question here. What is the arrangement? Because is it somebody just giving them these guns for free? Or is it that they have the money to pay for these guns, to import it? And who importing it? And what is the purpose of putting it in the hands of these people? What is the purpose of putting it in the hands of these at-risk youth? If you importing it, you taking your hard-earned money, well, hard-earned, and you importing these guns because you're paying whoever outside, however you're paying them. You don't have US, we don't have US in the country, we're suffering for US, but yet still guns coming in, it is being imported. So we know freight costs have to be paid for and all of these different things. Even if you have some arrangement with who outside, it still has to be paid. You've had to pay the shipping company, the freight company, and so on when it comes in. Who paying for that? Where the money coming from to pay for that? Or we suffering is poverty. Yes, it's poverty that driving crime in the country. All these killings is poverty related. I'm not to do anything else. So when it leaves the US and it comes here, who sent it from the US? Where they get it from? They making it over there? Whoever it is sending it, they making it and sending it? Or they purchasing it? And how are they purchasing it? And when it comes to what the people in the US, what benefit are they getting? Because when one of these at-risk youth kills somebody here, how that benefiting the people in the US? So it had to be the only way they're benefiting is they're getting paid for the guns. So somebody in Trinidad must have money to pay them outside for it to come here. And when it come here, they need to make back the money. Because when it go into the hands of these guys, if they have a little rivalry and want to kill each other because I ain't like what you say about me in a song, or you do a live on Facebook or TikTok or whatever it is, and you say something about me and so I decide I'm going to kill you, that doesn't benefit whoever it is spending the money to bring in the guns, right? Or little rivalry is not benefiting me. So again, I just ask any question. So when they want to talk about this poverty and it's only because of poverty or learn foolishness, even if the government has so many opportunities that they put in place targeted towards these folks, because when you look at the age ranges of these guys who committing these crimes when they apprehended is between 17, 18, and 27, 29. The government have programs targeting persons between the ages of 18 to 35. So it falls in the bracket of the persons who are being apprehended for these crimes. So there are things in place for them to make an honest dollar. And it's government. So it's not just say, all right, you gotta go on. Even if you have a record, you can't get a clean certificate of character, but you're willing to change your life, the government would be more than willing to accommodate you. Right? Because it is better for them to bring you in and try and help you to rehabilitate than to leave you out in the cold for you to go on, because idle hands are the devil's workshop. So if it's one employer who is willing to still take you, notwithstanding the fact that you have a record and you can't get a clean certificate of character, it's the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This administration, plenty opportunities that they have. These guys not interested in that. They are not interested in that. Don't come and tell me nothing about going to no school and you pay me a stipend or whatever, and when I finish. They don't care about that. As I said before, any money that they could make, any from an honest living, from any opportunities that the government provides, they could make plenty more than that in the space of a day or two by taking somebody ghost. What happened? Where they get the car from? I think it was a Elantra or something. So where they get a car from? And it's poverty that driving crime. It's because they're poor and they're suffering. That's why they're killing people. But they have money to buy Elantra. I just asking. So they have money to buy high-powered guns and they have money to buy Elantra, but it's poverty that driving crime. According to the UNC, it's because this government oppressing people. And that's why these guys getting involved in a life of crime. That making sense to them. So let's just focus on the poverty aspect. So if they come back in office, you know what? We will fix crime. We will give them color me orange. Give them $69 a day and these fellas will put down their guns. Because you know why they poor? Now they're making no money under Keith Rowley. So all these opportunities that Keith Rowley offering, forget it. We will get them $69 a day, or we will up it to 75, and they will put down their guns and they will turn and you leave. Yeah. So that will help them to be able to put food on the table. Or we will bring back live sport. Live sport 2.0, right? And instead of $1,800 a month stipend, we'll get them $2,500. And they'll put down the guns and they will take up a life of an honest living. That's what we're supposed to believe. Yeah, we'll bring back Hoop of Life. Yeah, we'll bring back Hoop of Life. Where the prize money is $500,000 or $1 million. But only for the 12 or so members or the 11 or so members on the team. That's about it. That's for them, the management of the team. But for the rest of them, they will just be so happy, they will put down their guns. Because it's all about poverty and nothing else, according to the UNC. Right? That making sense to me. But I noticed on the book, Peter wrote a newspaper article entitled Trinidad and Tobago, a War Zone. I didn't read the article, just the headline I saw. And as I said, all of them happy to post up that Trinidad and Tobago is a war zone. They know what a war zone looks like now, right? But when they were in office in 2010 to 2015, and Dabadi O'Meara under Anil Roberts became a war zone, they didn't know what war zone then, right? Well, 72 murders were committed in Dabadi O'Meara between 2010 and 2014, but Anil Roberts was still member of parliament. When Anil Roberts became the member of parliament for Dabadi O'Meara, he didn't have that. But they come with their box train contracts because they figure we need it. That is how they could placate the criminal element and get them to do their bidding. So not just to try and keep the criminals quiet, but by getting the allegiances of the criminal element, when elections come around, they could get people to go and manhandle people. So as in the case of Evergreen in the back of the racetrack, where you have a number of people who would have worked hard to build their homes, right? Sacrifice and spend their money. They save up, churrup, according to Kamala. She and Gregory save up their money, churrup, and build a house. People in the back of the racetrack did that, build their houses. And then these members of these criminal elements come and put the people out of the house. Take it and let them know, hey, yeah, pack your things and go. Pack your things and go. Put the people out of the house. And they're living in these houses now. When the people go to the police, so the police telling them here, what? They better leave that so. Better leave that so. Because if you all don't want to leave willingly, we go and we put them out of the house, we feel they're just gonna come back. And this time, in order to ensure that you don't make an effort to put them out again, they might take your life. So you better leave that so. Go and see if you could find a piece of land somewhere and build a house. And forget that. How does that make that person feel? After they work hard, sacrifice, they sue, they take a loan and whatnot. One room today, one room, they build a room, bit by bit until they finish their house. And you're happy now, I have something, a place to rest my head. And then these criminals just walk in one day, put you and your family up, put a gun to you and tell you, okay, bust it. Bust it. All that happened after that clown, that quintessential clown, fancies himself now a senator, who he's supposed to call honorable, became the member of parliament for Dabadi O'Meara, right? Dirty the constituency. And even up to today, years after he demitted office as the member of parliament, you still have that lingering stench in the constituency of Dabadi O'Meara in certain places, especially the Karapo area and so on. You still have that. Yeah? Certain elements who controlling certain areas. So when they were giving out box change, all over Dabadi O'Meara, you could go on what they call the train line and you will see where they have box trains. Started nowhere and ended nowhere, right? It starts in bush and it ends in bush. It makes absolutely no sense. But they collect money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were given out in contracts to these folks to buy their allegiance, right? And to placate them. So they only had look a contract for $250. Look a contract for $500,000. So eat our food and relax for yourself. But when the one who get the $500,000, the one who get the $250 vex about the one who get the $500,000, and he want to go and tell the one who get the $500,000, he really had to pay tax, you know. I want a piece of that. And the one who get the $500,000 say, we go from here. And the next thing you know, somebody end up, one of the bodies found in the very same box train. That was the order of the day when Anil Roberts was the Member of Parliament for Dabadi Omera. But they didn't know about war zone then. No, they didn't know about war zone then. Every day you're hearing 2, 3 double murder and triple murders taking place in Dabadi Omera, particularly in Omera South. Right? All in the back there, behind the racetrack. It was commonplace to hear that. Things that unprecedented. Never heard that before when PNM was in charge of Dabadi Omera. Never heard that. Constituency is still trying to recover today from that. And they are telling you, put them back in 2025. Well, thank goodness it doesn't seem like Mr. Roberts has any interest in Dabadi Omera. Again, focusing on St. Joseph. So the same thing that he did to Dabadi Omera, we want to go to St. Joseph now and damage that constituency too. Understand that these things last long after these fellas gone. Long after they're gone, the damage that they do doesn't end when they leave, unfortunately. And it takes a lot to clean up. So here we are in 2023. He would have resigned in 2014. 9 years later, the constituency still has not recovered from that. Still has not recovered from that. And there's still people who mourning and weeping, gnashing of teeth because their homes have been taken away from them and they cannot even get redress from the police. All they get in advice is to just leave that alone because the police don't want to have to come and investigate a murder. You find your body somewhere. You disappear. Right? You become a missing person, a statistic. And people living in your house. And because the police don't have any evidence to charge them to say, well, they committed whatever murder. Or any involvement in your disappearance, you just have to relax yourself. Go and see if you could find a piece of land somewhere and put up a shack and start all over again. And hope this time that another group doesn't come and decide to put you out too. Thanks to who? But that is the legacy that they left. That is the legacy that they don't talk about, but want to come and say Trinidad and Tobago is a war zone. What is happening today, and they don't like to hear that. Again, what they did, the things that they did, that feeding the criminals, the criminal element, that when it is this administration came in and all that box train contract and all them things dry up, what we see in today is as a result of all of that. But they want to accuse this administration of giving money to criminals, but would never admit that they were doing it. The same Gary Griffith who is now back in league with them, when he was Minister of National Security under them, spoke about that, about state enterprises giving contracts to criminals, and that he was attempting to crack down on it. That's why I read for you all a snippet from this article about the Hoop of Life thing, where he said it was going to be under review. Because why? Certain, with a budget of 12 million, well, eventually 70 million, I think, according to him. Monies was going into the pockets of certain criminal element, and he wanted to clamp down on that. Of course, he didn't have the support of his cabinet colleagues because they knew what was supposed to take place. If we want to buy the loyalties of the criminal element and get them to get us the support that we need, especially in constituencies that is controlled by the PNM, then we need to feed them. This administration came in, that didn't happen. Now, even if we may still have instances where some criminal element be getting contracts, let's remember Keith Rowley, General Hine, and the rest of the cabinet, contracts to anybody. Right? We have state agencies who are responsible for doing all of the vetting and everything. So when you have people, remnants, leftovers from that party, still in these state agencies and still trying to maintain the allegiance of some of this criminal element so that when elections come around, they could pick up the phone and call them and say, yeah, time, you need to deliver because you are still getting your thing under this administration when they didn't want to, we given all your thing. Yeah, so they still had a pocket, they're still building that support base to strong arm and manhandle people, to recruit. Anyway, I wouldn't, certain things that you can't disclose. But just a word to the wise, as I keep saying, right? So when they want the crime talks and Kamala talking about she wants to go around the country and have discussions with members of the public and so on, consultations. Consultations on what? You You were the same one who said, release the dogs of war, give no quarter. You are the same one advocating that you should make it easier for law-abiding citizens to acquire firearms because that will fix the problem. But again, the owners of Passad, the Food King, they had guns. 2 guns were taken from them. The guns helped them. Fortunately, the criminals didn't kill them, but they had guns. They hold up a policewoman a couple days ago, right? Run into the back of her car. She stopped. According to the report, they jump out the car. They say, family, don't make no scene. Just pass the money. Took $4,500 some money. They took her chain. They took her cell phone and other things. Police officer. They did that too. Police officer. Certain she has a firearm user's license. Most of these officers have their own personal weapon. That helped her? No. She's a police officer. So if you feel giving law-abiding citizens guns is going to fix the problem, that these criminal elements have respect, no. You know what? Whereas before, they may have been inclined to say, well, we will just rob them and take whatever and leave them. Because we will be already looking for a murder case now, because we're not about going and sit down in remand for 10 to 15 years. We know about our life. So we just beat them up, put some licks on them, take what we had to take, and ride out. So even if we get caught, we are not, the charge that we will face would be a lesser charge, a bailable offense. So we committing bailable offenses. We don't want no murder charge, right? Because if we might get a little charge for housebreaking, we will get bail for that. For robbery, we will get bail for that. Because remember, some of them are repeat offenders, so they understand how the judicial system works. But now, murder is a bailable offense. So if we kill somebody, we still getting bail. So it's okay. We don't need to walk on eggshells anymore with respect to murder. So if it is they want to play mad, and you know how long I looking to put something on put some lead on somebody, what's the point of having a gun and I ain't using it? I had this nice rifle here, this AR-15. How long I fed up shooting bottles, I fed up shooting cans, right? I fed up just shooting in the air. I want to feel what it is to take a ghost. Now they feel more emboldened to take a ghost because they could take a ghost and get bail, and they're back outside, free to do the same things that they were doing before they took the ghost. Thanks to who? Not Keith Rowley, not Fitzgerald Hines, not any member of cabinet, not Faris Al-Rawi, not anybody in cabinet. Thanks to the United National Congress, Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal, Anand Ramdogan, and others, ably supported by Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her stand your ground. So let us provide laws now to enable people or to encourage people to feel free, a little more loose to take a ghost. So it's not just people coming in your house. You and your neighbor have a little fallout. You're fed up at this neighbor, he's a nuisance, I'll put 2 cap in the backside. And if you're dead, well, right, I'll stand your ground. I felt threatened. I felt my life was threatened, my property was threatened, and it was under those circumstances that I killed him. Yeah, and as Johnny Abraham told them the other day, do what you had to do, but just make sure you know what to say. You know what to tell the police. Just do what you had to do, but know what to tell the police. This is the advice of a former senior police officer to citizens. So right now, you have no gun, but if you get a cutlass and you can put 2 chop on them and deal with them, go ahead. Just know what to tell the police. Right? And if you have a gun, better said. Load up the matic. Knock it on them. Knock it again. Just know what to tell the police. Right? So so it wouldn't be classified as murder. Yeah, self-defense. But nevertheless, is another life lost. That is their solution to crime. Right? That's their solution to crime. Let me say good morning to Ralph Maraj. 1,393 murders, down from 1,511. A reduction of 118, but I suppose that is something to applaud Jamaica for, right? Yeah, we recorded 118 less murders, but still 1,393 people as of now died, murdered. 7701763. You feel you can write an article about that? Huh? No, I highly doubt that he's going to write an article about that. But instead, a whole set of drivel about the dragon gas deal and how the government told this time the dragon gas and Rowley say that was going to be the salvation of the country and all of that. not what the money from the dragon gas could do to boost. Anyway, so give me 1 sec there, Kola. Let me just switch this thing. So let me just get this here. Right, turn this off. Turn this on. Nice. We're cooking. Call me back, caller. Set up. I just needed to switch devices. 7701763. Hello, good morning.
And Happy New Year.
Same to you, sir.
Dominic, you know what does get me very angry or very upset with some of these intellects like the Ralph Moraj and I would include Susan this Lowhill because she's an idiot. But you know, people who supposed to have an intellect, people who the Trinidad Express would make them have them as a editor or not editor, sorry, but one of those things is posting papers and it's what their opinions in the paper.
Yeah, columnist.
Columnist, right?
Yes.
You know that the Caribbean has a serious problem in increased crime rate in basically all the countries of the Caribbean that make up the of CARICOM.
Yes.
That we recently had a conference on crime on the CARICOM members.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that the crime is not a Trinidad and Tobago problem only. So it's only Trinidad and Tobago you have murders reaching 600.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in Trinidad and Tobago, men gunning down men doing that, all kind of. It's something that's been growing. So the Caribbean come together to fight crime as a Caribbean thing, as a CARICOM effort to share information within the gangs, populated with other gangs, how the guns coming in the Caribbean, what they're going to do with getting the guns, calling the Americans where the guns are being manufactured, right? Get the factories or the companies who make the guns to help the law-abiding, but the law enforcement of Caribbean and all the countries to trace the guns, to hold people accountable for gun trafficking. You know, they're not talking about these things. But what they're doing, they're trying to, like what Kamala and them do, is trying to take the effort of what the crime fighting apparatus and then stand on the side and blame everybody, the commissioner. She's doing a damn good job with what little help that she has.
Mm-hmm.
She has no help from the opposition. The little laws that Gary complained about the bailing of criminals and the 120 days without thing until we could do the homework on these criminals and them on the gun, the ballistic to get them back to a formal, serious charge to be put on them.
Yes.
Some of them don't want that. Some of them don't want that. They're frustrating and fighting apparatus and then blaming other people for it. When you look at it carefully, they are the problems. And they're only talking about everybody blaming Kamala, but who else you want to blame? When everything is pointed right back at her. How could you have somebody who's been charged for murder? How you can have your people, you're the leader of the party. How you're the people that go to the British and them with the loopholes in the law that your age know about. Right? To get bail for people who've been charged of murder and it's proven that a repeated offender get charged and came back out and wait do again. I mean, it's common sense. But you complaining about the murder rate? You are the problem. You adding fuel to the fire. And then you did blaming everybody else, but nobody mustn't blame you.
Correct.
But yeah, but you try to get back into the prime minister. But something wrong with the opposition. She's not fit to be opposition. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Go tell her supporters that Because Rowley is the problem and Hines is the problem. Mm-hmm. See here. Hello, good morning.
Right. Morning, Tom.
Morning,
Happy
sir.
New Year.
Same to you.
We made it across the line to 24.
Yes.
And to all the viewers and listeners. Right. So the two calibers that I spoke to you about on Sunday was 7.62 and 5.56.
Yes.
A 7.62 bullet or projectile has a maximum range of 1.4 miles. That is the effective range, right? I don't know if you could recall, but during the coup, when there was the Lieutenant Port of Spain, I remember the Defense Force had fired his self-loading rifle, the SLR,
yes,
from Independence Square, and a woman was killed in her kitchen in the hills of Laventille. Right?
yes.
That is what fellas going around with. So you're correct. If I shoot that entire crowd, 10 people could be mortally wounded by that round. With one, and a SLR is capable of firing 21 of those type of rounds. AK-47s and other types of weapons,
yes,
the AR-15s, they have magazines that have a capacity of some in 50 to 75. Right? Of those types of bullets. I want to do something to Christian. You're because how pervasive crime is, right? So overall, I was reading an extract from a site called police1.org, a United States internet publication. And the statistics for last year for the year after a poll was conducted of 118 law enforcement agencies. I say again, a poll of 118 law enforcement agencies. The overall homicide reduction in the United States was 13%. When you go on 50 by 60 profile, it is eye-opening. You say the case of New York City, their youth went down by 15%. Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, 25%. Miami, 15%. In Detroit, Chief White, the police chief there, was quoted as saying that their murder rate, they're not counting the eggs before the hatch, but it is the lowest they will have seen in 60 years.
Yes.
And they're not comforted by that. But like I said, and people say it lastly, one homicide is one too much. But you know what he said, something that was very interesting to me, and it sounds similar to what he said here. He said that the major reason for the reduction in homicide is two things. Policing strategies to go out on the street and target the people who have these weapons.
Right.
And when they are arrested, urge the prosecutors not to give them deal. That's one. The other thing that he said is that they have a system there called canvassing the neighborhoods and speaking to crime interrupters. And the crime interrupters are identified as individuals in the community who liaise with the police and give them information on who they are to target. I think that sounds similar to what the police ask people to do if they see something, say something, right? And call the anonymous tip lines like 800 tips, stoppers, and the 555 line. So what I'm saying is, I don't think Chief White, I don't even think Chief White knows of Ula Christopher.
Right.
But what he has said is what she would have said of her leadership would have said is the strategy being used to try and bring our homicide rate down.
Yes.
Good. Now we had a reduction by 5% over the 2022 figure. It's something to triumph. It's something to talk about guardedly, but on a comparative basis. The whole of 2023, we didn't have any COVID restrictions, none at all. And that is a key point that you raised there. But whenever you juxtapose that against the best commissioner in recent history's tenure, he gets angry. But those are the facts.
Yes.
Those are the facts. Our neighbors didn't know. Bahamas had 100 and something homicides. They are horror. I think Musha had something like 35. Barbados had something like 25. This is way above what they normally have.
Correct.
So it's not really not isolated and having a problem with homicide. And you know why? I linked in something, right? We can link it. Our Trinidad artists doing all over the Caribbean and Caribbean. And this is the lifestyle that the people who promoting them and ask them to come to perform, these are the crowds that they perform into. It was like back in the day when they had the bad boy gangster lyrics in Jamaica that was very popular here. That is not going on. But I am saying that once we allow law enforcement here to continue the strategies, my brother, and up it a little bit and tweak it a little bit more, you can see improvement. For example, I'm saying that what the model that we need to do is we need to have more visibility foot-wise and not just doing carnival alone.
Right.
So I'm saying it's possible to have more mobile patrols, but they also need targeted static foot patrols all over the place. It could be done. Right?
I agree.
And once you have that intervention with saturating all these communities or the trouble spots with police presence, there's two things will happen. Fellas will shift location or they will look to engage the police. And if they engage the police, it's only have one way it will go down for them. And I'm saying the effort from the judiciary, especially with the fact that JIPA has now been proclaimed in terms of clean up trials, and you're bypassing the preliminary inquiry stage, and the evidence is being tested for a master, not just a magistrate, which means that the police have to come well good.
Right.
We should see speedier trial. And I think if that happens, some confidence could be improved. And before I go, the last thing I was going to say about Chief White in Detroit, you know what you also said too? A great part of their success was having the public trust in the police, right?
Yes.
The police confidence in the police acting in their best interest. So remember, Detroit is one of spots of protest with respect to George Floyd and other police killings and so on.
Yes.
And he identified that as a major bulwark of this success. The trust of the public in the police, confidence of the citizenry. And I think we also trying to go along that line, and once that improves, we should see improvement by brother.
Agreed.
We're going to intervene and back up on what they said with those facts. So like I said, the publication online, policeone.org.
What's that?
Take care, my brother.
You too. Policeone.org. Okay, will do. You know, and I see they already start their foolishness with their memes, right? So I'm seeing one here. It says, somebody posted yesterday, "Dear God, take Rowley and give us back Panday. Take Rowley and give us back Panday." And in the comments, here the comments, "Amen. I really don't want to agree with this poster, but yes, you made my night to this one. I agree. Hey, this boy. Amen. Yes. You all know Imbert will be next in charge, right, Lord? Ah, boy. Good over there. Yeah. Take Rowley and give us back. Anyway. Was to be expected. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Morning, sir.
Yes, man. Happy New Year to you.
And to you too.
Yes, and to all the family of this program. You can get my first I just wanted to say my condolences to the family of Pastor Panday. And of course, the family of Hotel Charles.
Yes.
Just as we know, trying to with sympathy that I would we get this other one of Pastor Panday. And I got my books. I mean, politically side, I think we need all the great ones. Right?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think we losing all the great ones.
Yes.
So you know the 20 on Mr. Robinson, Mr. Manning, and come back to Panday. Yeah. Rachel, anyhow, I am so sick and tired of this mantra that the country is suffering and people suffering. It seems to me that people supposed to transpire last week and the week before, where every time I was going to extra food, water food, massive storage, price map, and I can't get back to pay. Remember the discussion we had?
Yep.
And people suffering. So I want to find out, seeing that everything was supposed to be grim, the people have the money to pay their monthly bill and their property tax every month.
Yes.
I hope they find the money. And another thing too, this constitution, or you had a big clip where the opposition didn't support the anti-gang bill and the bill amendment bill.
Yes.
Remember the bill where the police who's suspected of importance of serious crime, they're not supposed to get mobile.
Yes.
And the anti-gang bill, where you're suspected of a gang, they're not supposed to get jail for. Who stop it? And I'm looking at with him the
Yes.
And people want to vote to go back to 2025, right? Just think this side first. As far as I'm concerned, that organization could have served the UNC. After the death of the founder, the party died with it. Because that is supposedly related to the UNC. As far as I'm concerned, she's a null. She's not a UNC. Right? If she was a pure blood UNC, she would have joined the sometime. Went back to Panday or after the contest and two, she didn't join. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right. Have a good day.
You too, sir. Good morning to Mother Tunapuna. Happy New Year to you, ma'am. Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year, my sweetheart.
Same to you.
Right. I want you long this morning. I want Larry text me in 2011. Go on. Explain 2011. Why it happened there? While you're part of a criminal gang called UNC. Always protected. Larry, tell us please what happened and why you became COP, knowing what part of the gang you were in. You can't know a history of somebody, their bad history, Dominic, and married, right?
Correct.
Because all your previous partners, what makes the difference? Gary, you are dog and conductor from it because you beat the UNC with your mouth. You called Pamela all kind of things. She was lazy, a 2 days worker. But you go back there, woman, Gary. Are you so desperate? What is wrong with you? Are you going to any good? Or Mr. Rowley? I have to ask Gary, be married. Because your marriage has 3 people. And the main squeeze is for Mr. Rowley, not the goal.
Yes.
With a hat on this man, and he's bankrupt of ideas. Unless the prime minister don't speak, Gary, quiet, Gary. What is the son beat up your brain? Because if you cut up all that, you have more skull than hair. So being Gary, Everything Prime Minister already see on his face. Are you in love with him? Because you have no new ideas. Right, you have education, intelligence, eh?
Yes.
But between must have common sense. You calling the Prime Minister disrespectful names and talk about respect for Prime Minister Panday. You call Chief Patient Bayram a 2 days worker. That respectful? You must talk her, right? When you were under her admin, on it, you get check out like you back a brush, you're back in the company. How I can that talk you Dominic?
Yes.
And want food. If I don't like it, I don't like you. You could bring one for me, I don't want it.
Yes.
Gary looking for a pot, says greasy sorry. He's looking for a soap to put his whole black greasy pot on. You cannot condemn Gary when you're part of the problem. You cannot condemn bad talk but let him go back. And every lie, it's what I'm saying, Gary, every lie may haunt you. It will hurt you. Right? You say things that will become popular. But Gary shared with it. When things on Facebook is forever. And I'm losing it. I love to see things. My father will hold things for purpose.
Yes.
Because I say for purpose to go back and check and double check. Right? Because between 2011 and 2015, there were 5 ministers for national security. If you're all that calm and Gary, why 5 ministers? So explain to me why.
Yes.
You get married, one, you'd be the first wife to divorce you. You'd be the second wife to divorce you. You'd be the third wife to divorce you. So how many wives or ministers you had if you're all that? Don't it make any kind of sense to you?
Nope.
If white pepper burn you the first time, illegal pepper, then you're sadistic. You like pain. Gary, let me tell you. Final fortune. Have you old type greasy old head pot and go and sleep and Pamela, the next pretense hypocrite is you. How much lose? Panday lose? No, him no.
4 times the present leader has lost, and you want to talk about track record
of the highest order. You're sitting man. Those things places on Kamala. Right? Your false tears is yellow. You don't like the man. You wanted his place at the capital city about it. So please, you kicked him out the party phone. Now he dead? You go rest it quiet, 7 to dance the granny self. Them have a good day and be blessed, my love.
You too. Interesting. The only thing I could agree with Philip Alexander about is the hypocrisy that we will see over the course of the next few days. All those who are trying to milk Mr. Panday's death for their own personal benefit. All who go in and dig up to see what picture they could find. To advance their political stocks now. Shameless. 7701763. Here. Citizens' attitude. Let me see what some of you all are saying here. So Elizabeth is saying condolences to the family of Mr. Panday. May God give them strength in these sad times. Indeed. Yes, indeed. What else we have there? Gary shouldn't have, Greasy Gary shouldn't have been commissioner, knowing what part of the political gang the UNC had into this crime. Started in May 2010. How can Greasy Gary mouth try and correct this admin. Nikki says live sport and Hoop of Life left this country damaged and looted for so. I remember working for a particular stationery company and received RFQ from that department. Can't say how much, but boy, oh boy, Treasury was raped. Wow. Brian, morning.
Dominic,
Morning, sir.
Happy New Year to you and yours.
And to you too, sir.
And I want to blame you for Sunday.
Sunday, remind me. What Sunday?
I'm trying to get. I came on at 11 o'clock. You weren't there. I tried to get back in, and I didn't see you. But then you came in a little late.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, no problem. I just being facetious. But I'd like to. I listened to what you had to say on Sunday, and especially what Dr. Simpleton had to say on Sunday as well. Especially his commentary, and it was extremely incisive. And if I fall back a bit on it, please forgive me.
Yes.
But to all of your callers and listeners and commentators, Happy New Year to all of you. And I would like all of you all to understand and to know that the next 18 months will be very incisive, and we have to be focused. We cannot afford to lose focus. There's a lot of work to do, because the propagandas will be out in full force, and therefore we have to do our work to counteract that. As I always say, Dominic, when I get up in the morning, after thanking my Lord and my God for life, for seeing another day, I put on TV6 to hear who will be the first person on to make commentary, as the case might be. This morning, guess who it was?
Who is it?
It was Ralph Maraj commenting on the death or the life or the celebration of life of Bastio Panday. And the way you dissected Jillian John on Sunday, I think it would be interesting for you to go back, as I know you can, and listen to what Ralph Maraj had to say. Because it was a bit laughable as he applauded and applauded Bastio Panday and denigrated the PNM even before NAR. And this is the same man who joined with Ramesh Maraj and Trevor Sudama to leave the Bastio Panday regime. But he didn't really want to mention that until it was brought up by Marlon Hopkinson.
Right.
But you see, this is what they do. They want us to forget the past. You understand? And only remember what they want us to remember. But Ralph Maraj is one of those, I don't want to use derogatory terms there, but it is sad that Ralph Maraj is given an air, given a space
to sell what he wants to sell to Trinidad and Tobago via the print media, as well as by the TV6 and UNC3.
Right.
But that is what he is given. He, amongst others, are allowed to do so to attempt to deflect, to make us forget about all what was done to us during that time, about the Piaco scandal, that today, over almost 25 years later, we're still fighting that case. People will forget those things. That it cost millions and millions of dollars as we continue to fight to get back something for the country. Even though we got back some money, up till now, we don't know where it went. Under the UNC, or I should say the partnership, up to now, there's no questions and no answers as to exactly where that money went. And this is how we have to live. Because when they get money and when they have money, it's not your damn business or my damn business what the hell they do with it. And these are some of these things. And to listen to Ralph Maraj this morning, it was shameful, it was distasteful, it was disgusting. That Ralph Maraj, who could, you see, there are things I say in my private domain that I can't really say on the radio. But this is 2020. I'm not going to say it. The wrong UNC leader dead.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, I know. I apologize, Dominic, if I denigrated your program. I humbly apologize to you. I am sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
That's all right. That's all right.
Because you see, Dominic.
Yes.
You just read out about what they had to say about Dr. Rowley. And we try to pacify it and say, oh God, they shouldn't say this and they shouldn't say that. And we try to be, on the good side. But then there comes a time when I tell myself, Brian, maybe you need to go down that road. It may not be nice. It may not be you. But then sometimes I feel when I hear these things, it hurts me. And I I apologize to you. I humbly apologize. I shouldn't have said it. But it is what it is. And the spoken word is spoken word.
Yes.
But Dominic, we have been through thieving to extreme. And they want to sell. Yes, I know that the gun and the bloodiness is painful.
Yes.
But you see, when you thief me money and you live in a Villa Loca and having a good time and talking about the poor and the indigent as if you're doing something for them and you're not doing anything, I have to talk about it. Because I live in the South. And I see the houses, I see the mansions, I know about certain people building media spaces in their house, nothing like cinemas, so they could invite their friends and drink champagne. And I know about these things, you know why? Because I have friends who have built these things for them. And they're having a damn good time. And they don't care one ilk about the poor and the indigent. They don't. So then for them to come and talk about Panday and talk about how good he was and how much he did, and come back and talk about black people as if you are black yourself. And talk about, oh, that Dr. Rowley, you know about black people. And I will ask the question, when you were in power, what did you do? When you saw all of the meetings being held as Minister of Housing about the Piaco scandal, what did you do outside of go and talk to Bastio Panday? And we told he can do nothing. Did you continue in the meetings, yes or no? Or did you did you excuse yourself from those meetings? Because you left it to go as it was and you continued as Minister of Housing. While that Piaco airport was being built and money was running helter-skelter between here and New York. What did you do? And I have to listen to this woman start talking about African people and black children. What did they do outside of remove all of the institutions that would have helped young African people so they won't pick up a gun today? As you rightly said, we don't get any money to buy a gun, to buy the bullets. When I see a man going to court to put order in court, the commissioner of police to bring in 3.6 million assorted ammunition, and nobody asking a question. I have to listen to Gary Griffith talking a bunch of bile. I will not. I have no pains for certain people, none whatsoever, alive or dead. Who don't like it, lie down side it. My mother used to say. Because a lot of people have done ill. I can remember journalists attempted to talk to Bastio Panday and he ridiculed him. I can remember when Bastio Panday went to jail and they say he couldn't stay in jail because he could get sick.
Yes.
I could remember all those things. I can remember him telling Jolene John, I know what's going on, but nothing I could do. I didn't hear nobody ridicule him for that.
Yes.
Yes, he did fight in the labor movement. I agree. He did. But at the end of the day, what did he do for Trinidad and Tobago? What did he do to better Trinidad and Tobago? He fostered Kamala Prasad Bissessa on us in those years. And what did she do? Where's Bob Lindquist today to talk about it? Why don't I interview Bob Lindquist? Let us hear what he has to say. Huh? They will never do that. How much money was paid to those two commissioners and assistant commissioners of police who came from abroad and was sent back, fired and sent back? How much were they paid? Let them tell us. You'll never hear that. These are some of these things that we have to live with. And for all those who want to hold back the vote and don't vote, all they're going to get Donald Trump talking about it, you know. He's saying what he's going to do. And there's no less than what if the UNC under that Mrs. Botha come back into power will do. She did it to Dr. Rowley when he was not allowed to represent his constituents for the last 3 or 4 months of the year, the election year. He was ridiculed and thrown out of the parliament. You think she ain't gonna do it again? You think the 7,000 or 8,000 Africans who were piled up in a warehouse, you think she won't do it again? She'll do it more, or she'll do it worse. So if all you don't want to understand and listen and realize what is really going on in Trinidad and Tobago, that's all your business. Personally, I don't care about them. And I am being bitter And I am going to say what I have to say because they have been bitter to us. You can see it when they let go, when they closed down all of those trade schools. Who was benefiting from that? And if we don't want to see it, well then okay, fine. Well, all this stay there and all the ignorance and don't say nothing and live with it. And as Dr. Simpleton said, when the 7.62 bullet and the 5.56 bullets come at you, you could duck all you want. When it hits you, you're dead. And you must understand why it is. Men could be shooting bullets like that. And they're supposed to be poor. And they're supposed to be catching the tail. But they're in vehicles and they're shooting indiscriminately. Those bullets cost money. And why would Tofi Ali, ask yourself why Tofi Ali want to bring in 3.6 million assortment of bullets into Trinidad? It costs money. Where you getting the US dollars from? Well, nobody asking these type of questions. But he going to court to carry Earl Christopher, the commissioner of police, to get permission to bring in those bullets. Where you get that money from? You could go to the bank and ask for US dollars, unless you could produce a travel ticket. You're barely getting 200. When he getting money to bring in 3.6 million bullets from? And only asking yourself these questions? Okay. Have a good day.
You too, sir.
Dominic, I know you have work to do, as I do, as all of us do. And we must continue. We mustn't get weary.
Yes.
Fight on, my brother.
Thank you.
In all of the exuberance of carnival and so on, we have work to do because they have not stopped. And I will not stop. And I will support you and I will listen to you.
Thank you.
As much as I can.
Thank you, sir.
All the best, my brother, for the new year. You and your family and your listeners and callers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jenny.
Hi, morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year to you, 2024.
Same to you.
There were two things I used to say in my earlier on when I started calling on radio programs. And one of them was no apology for speaking the truth.
Yes.
And the other one is, if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you'll win all your battles. So I want to start off with that. Anytime we continue to say we surprise our will Ralph Maraj say and Gary Griffith say and this one said, it clearly means we do not understand our enemy. And when I mean enemy, I mean anybody that is opposed to you. We need to stop saying that. We by now should know what they're capable of saying and be ready and willing and able to counteract what they're saying. Because we're wasting too much time on saying how they could say that. They will say that and worse. They have a history of that. We have to have a strategy to deal with that. I want to also say condolences to the Panday family on the passing of Mr. Panday.
Yes.
And I looked at something that was very informative to me. I looked at the release that was put out by Kamla Prasad-Bissessa. And then I looked at the release that was put out by Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley.
Yes.
When you read the two, something will stand out to you if you have an understanding of what is going on in this place. Kamla Prasad-Bissessa put nothing in there that is of a kind of personal nature or to show that she take over the man party or take the man party or he was she mentor. It was just a bland statement. When you read Dr. Rowley's own, it made reference to his terms in Parliament, it made reference to his union life and everything. Two contrasting things. And I tell myself right now, Kamla Prasad-Bissessa must be a very frightened woman. Because these things just bring to you that death is not for the rich or it's not for the poor alone, but it's for everybody. And with the health challenges that she's having, I don't wish her nothing because I tell you, no apology for speaking the truth. She needs to be sitting down soberly now and thinking about her health, about how the way she's living and the thing that she's doing. Having said all that, I will simply say, as Brian would have said, there's a lot of work to be done. There is a lot of, I say it again, a lot of work to be done. We have a lot of people out there, whether on social media, whether callers, whether those who are just listening, those who make comments, are willing and able and ready, along with talk show hosts like yourself and others, Ms. Daisy, Mr. Ruka, Ms. Sean Felix, all they are there. And it's just to coordinate that effort, coordinate those persons in a comprehensive way. And we will do the work to make sure that the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, come 2025, will be able to compare and contrast, and then make an informed decision based on what would have been put out there. Because right now, a lot of people are ignorant of what is happening. And it's not because they don't want to know, or that they don't want to know, you know. Sometimes because they don't have no time to listen to Parliament channel. That is long, and you have to really like them thing to sit down and listen to that. It's not that they don't want to listen to the news, but if you have become a society where you pick up your phone and TikTok, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that's holding people's attention span, and that is real. Technology would have done a lot of disservice also, because we don't have a big attention span no more. 2-3 minutes and be good with that. And that is how the message has to be sent out there to the people who using the social media. Not no long thing, because some of them even watching no live. But you see the TikTok and a 2-minute video and a 2 minute, they are listening to that. So get the points put there in those areas. I'm not saying not to do the traditional way, because you have to fight on all levels, because the fight is at all different levels. Because when you're in a battle and you're in a war, it's different strategies for the two. And you have soldiers at all different levels. You have those who sit in the war room and they're making the plan. And then they give it to their general, who will tell it to the ground troop what they need to do. And you have the single ones of them who have the private mission, because they are on different vibes with that. But all of them working together for the benefit of one. And we have to look at ourselves as a war. It's not a battle again. We fight in a political war. We fight in a war to educate the people. We fight in a war to keep our children alive. And we have to understand that. So we must not be distracted. While we must keep an eye on them, we must not be distracted by the likes of Gary Griffith, Ralph Maraj, et al. Because if, when they go back to court, I think it's this month, and the appeal court said that the government of this country could read the report of the FUL that Justice retired Stanley John said was a well-oiled criminal enterprise. And that is made to be laid in the parliament for everybody to hear. I think that will be Gary Griffith's biggest concern. And that might be a deal breaker into helping to deal and treat with crime in this country. That is my opinion. But Dominic, you have a blessed day. All those who are tuning, listening, have a blessed day. And better things for 2024. This year is the end of the decade for peoples of African descent. We have to get something done in a very, very tangible way.
Yes.
I'm not saying the government has not done anything, but we have to get something done in a tangible way and not be afraid that they're going to say it's racialism and the discrimination against other races. Because the decade was for African people, not for Syrian, Chinese, India, nobody else, African people. And we must make use of that. This is the year things will be coming together. So Dominic, you have a blessed one. You and your family and all those who tune in locked on. Blessed 2024. And the fight is real, but we will overcome. That is our fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I forget to say my condolences to the Panday on the passing of Panday.
Yes.
He was a well-known political figure in this country. We can't forget some of the things that he would have done with the Sugar Union and some of the things that he have done with the actual politics.
Yep.
One good thing I could always say that he did was to sit down with Prime Minister Patrick Manning, opposition leader Patrick Manning, Ken Julian, and the one that they was like to think of. God bless his soul. He passed to Malcolm Jones.
Yes.
Thank God that he sit down and listen to logic and continue. Hence the reason we're in a better place today with the energy sector. We have seen where Kamala Prasad, his predecessor, where with the smelter plant, she shut it down. And now we paying for city electricity that I think they know how to find ways of using it, and plus we put in Chinese billions.
Yes.
And that bill has to be paid because the Chinese and them need the money. But on the other side, there's some discrepancies that need to be cleared up, and there's a matter of the London bank account and the luxurious apartment in a high-end area of the United Kingdom, and the Pandays, and then to settle with Trinidad and Tobago. Because if you're going to tell me that people hungry and people starving and the government is something, if the government needs all the revenue that they have,
yes.
So if we can get back our revenue, it will help a lot with the hungry people that they know they like to say. Every time PNM and government go hungry. When you ain't seeing government and it's keeping all the damn money, somehow nobody's hungry, nobody's starving. So I just want to put that aside. I have no personal grievances against anybody. That's fact. But these are issues, they are all there. It hasn't been settled. And for the ones who will come to say that the PNM will fight it down and take it past it, because I saw somebody said it on the EU that PNM block him out. I don't think it's PNM block him out. As far as I can reconcile the AG at the time who was Ramesh Lawrence and he did a great investigation. He was the one who participated in the courts with the evidence that he gathered. I think he was able to pull all this information from the United Kingdom. That is how we view all the luxurious apartments.
Yes.
Because in that place, they don't give out information on people just like that. It has to be at a high level. I think it was done through government to government.
Yes.
And the AG at the time, Ramesh Lawrence, got the information, and that's how we knew about it. And when it was asked about the Panday, he said something about Oma, why could you Oma, or something like that again. And when you leave people's background, you want to know how come Oma could have afforded luxurious items like that. And also, these are things that the country needs to breathe in. You need to put these things, settle it, get it done, get who has something on whoever and close these chapters. Because the same AG went back again out of bail, get the retrial of his case. You know, the same man prosecuted, the same man helping get a retrial on the case. So they had a special case and thing, and all of a sudden, the chief magistrate who was working good all the time, nobody saw any problem with him, and then all of a sudden something come up with some land to and all these things to distract and to move all doubts on people on the issue at hand. There is a London bank account, there is a London apartment, and it has to do with Trinidad and Tobago money. And also, you have to put into that misbehavior in office. So as good as Panday was as a prime minister, I mean, as things as there's a monkey in his back and he just couldn't take it off, he couldn't shake off that. These things was not clear. Mr. Panday was never clear of these matters. So what next now? Should be just, well, he was a good man thing and allow him to, but that he was kept with her because he never really, up and on the case, still someone filing something. Yes. But what I'm saying, his family is going to benefit from it. His estate is going to go to somebody. And in that estate, there is the matter of the London bank account and those things that belongs to the state. So we need to fix these things. We need to get things. I don't expect that the state will drop it because it is doing that for one person. The scale of justice has to be balanced. There are a lot of people who we could say, especially for people thinking, well, give you a chance, let him go, it's all right, he robbed so and he robbed that, and he sits down in jail, or you think, or you rob this person here, and let him go, thing, because of something. And you see, you have to start it, you have to get this country to be run properly, as some people like to compare us with Singapore. Things like that in Singapore, you will never see them think of them. They deal with the issues. They don't care about how good you was or what you. Once you have issues, and especially issues against the state, all the good you have done, you still have to pay a penance. Maybe when you don't pay a penance and you think in the back of all right, that's good, you pay a debt to society. But we in Trinidad, the people at the top, we never get the justice as the people we. The justice is different. You can't tell me, I know you have done, I can talk about the good things that he has done, but I can also tell you that he have a lot of other matters that he needs to clear. And that these matters affect a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago. Because when I see you telling me I'm poor and I'm suffering and whatever thing, and the government has to find revenue, and one way of raising revenue is a tax. This is basic, this is a universal thing. Right? And you don't want to pay tax. Well, we have to fix this problem and the leakage of the treasury. So you have to find these people and then bring them to justice and to the club so that future leaders will come and do the same as these fellas because they themselves leaders and so they think when you're not doing other things. And we have to fix that one. And only poor people and them who suffering and can't pay the little hike in the increase where they could use energy saving bulbs and save electricity and still bring it down and pay less or the property tax that you'll pay and you can get your council to fix the big hole in front of your house or to pick up your garbage and all these things so you contributed towards that. So now you can hold them accountable to fix those things for you. Your money has just been blown away in all them set of fireworks. Every year, the people bringing those fireworks guarantee making millions of people who poor and don't realize that they need to save their money and they just blow up. Because every firecracker that goes up in the end, pow! It's hundreds of your dollars going down the drain, and then they're complaining after that they're getting staffing and the government is doing this and the government is doing it for them. People are otherwise up, That man making one side money on top of all their head. Right? He's becoming a filthy rich millionaire. Easy. You just take him, it's just a season. He don't go through the quarters of the year to declare his profits. He just wait for 1 quarter in the year. Bringing his stuff, have it ready there. People are going to buy it. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. So true, and it coming from China, so and that's what the executive assistant said. They bring in the stuff from China and they know the price. So, yeah. While he's laughing all the way to the bank, your bank account is slightly depleted for whatever you spend on the fireworks, and meanwhile, his bank account is looking nice. Folks, it is 5 to 9. Let me thank you all again for joining me this morning. And giving me the opportunity to come into your space to share a few thoughts on what are the trending issues, trending topics of the day. So I'll continue to monitor the pages of certain people to see what tributes they put out for Mr. Panday. Again, we talk about hypocrisy. So I expect nothing different from some of them, but it is what it is. So again, Happy New Year greetings to all of you, those of you who may be just joining. I think we had a little issue with the Facebook feed a little while ago, but yeah. Marva, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you as well. Joycelyn Small White, Daryl Nanton, greetings, sir. Happy New Year to you and yours, and a good day to you as well. Hillbench, Angie Sherry, Althea, Julia, Donna. Happy New Year to all of you guys. Angie says Mr. Panday was lucky. He lived to be 90 years old and he lived comfortably. May he rest in peace. Indeed. And Dion Lewis, pleasant day to you as well. Ruth Fontaine, Happy New Year to you, to all of you. Hope that it will be a productive one and that we all make it out of this one as well. So enjoy your day, the rest of your day, rest of your week. Well, we will chat on Thursday morning, God's willing. We'll see what progresses between now and then. Yeah, so have a good day, everyone.